I'm David Vinson. I'm a lecturer in experimental psychology, and I've been here at UCL since 2000. My big research question is about the meaning of words and how we express them and understand them to each other. I started off interested in speech errors, Freudian slips, and there's been a long tradition in language research in using speech errors to understand how it all works, and similarly looking at how people understand the meanings of things they read or hear. And more recently, I've been more and more interested in what there is besides just the words that people use to understand each other. Things like gestures, facial expressions, other kinds of movements, and the kind of extra information you can get and how you can bond with other people through being able to see people in person. One of the things that has struck me as strange about this area of research is that a lot of people, including myself, have done a lot of studies just looking at single words out of context. You see a word on a computer screen and you press a button to make some kind of decision. Of course, this is not much like how we actually use language, how you're understanding me right now. So trying to understand better how context affects the understanding of language, how the demands of communication change the way people speak or write to each other is an expanding area that I'm getting more and more interested in. So one of the interesting findings I've made most recently has to do with the understanding of speech and gesture together. So when we talk, we can't help but gesture, some people more vigorously than others. And people do pay attention to what the body is doing along with speech, as you can see most obviously when you're giving directions. And what we've found in some experimental studies is that native and non-native speakers alike both use gestures in comprehending what somebody is saying. But non-native speakers make more use of them, probably to compensate for the greater difficulty in understanding speech. Well, one of the reasons the research I'm doing is important for society is a lot of the communication we do and a lot of the way people think about language is in terms of texts. So writing to each other, posting messages online and so forth. And you can see many examples of how people often get into bigger disagreements and so forth when it's just text out of context, when you're not able to get the extra information that communicating face-to-face can give you. And with the greater amount of video communication and the extra channels where you're more able to see someone else, my research is, along with many others, suggesting that bringing in this visual information or other kinds of cues to context can help us communicate more effectively with each other.